Lavish evening party at the Ritz London. Crystal chandeliers reflecting off champagne glasses. Wealthy guests. Media elite. The most powerful faces in the city. All discussing the young billionaire's fiancée. The grand doors open. A woman in a simple dress enters, breath trembling, eyes filled with fear. Security stops her. "Sorry, this is a private event." She whispers, "I just need to see him." Footsteps approach, a man in an old suit, calm eyes. He places his hand on her shoulder, says quietly but firmly, "She's with me." The entire room goes silent, and the woman beside the billionaire, his fiancée, freezes, drops her glass. Ethan Cole, 38 years old, single dad, former military, now works as a chef in a small London restaurant, strong build, kind eyes with quiet determination. Lily, 9 years old, Ethan's daughter, smart, always saying, "Dad, people can be poor, but they should never lack kindness." Isabel Voss, 35 years old, arrogant billionaire, runs International Investment Corporation, just engaged to Matthew Harlan, son of prestigious Harlan family. After his wife died in an accident, Ethan left the military, moved to London, became a chef, raises his daughter alone, teaches her to live with integrity despite their struggles. One rainy morning at a small cafe near the docks, he helped a woman who'd collapsed. Messy hair, dark coat, no wallet. He made her hot tea, said gently, "Are you all right?" She smiled weakly, voice hoarse. "Thank you. I haven't eaten all day." He bought her bread, said, "I'm not rich, but everyone deserves a full stomach." That woman was Clara Bennett, personal assistant to Isabel Voss. But that day she'd been fired for protecting vulnerable employees from mistreatment. Ethan didn't know her real identity, just saw someone who needed help. Authentic detail. The cafe owner later told reporters, he didn't ask who she was, just said tired people need food. The girl sat crying because of that simple statement. Clara sat in the warm cafe, watching rain through fogged windows, first kindness she'd received in months. "Why are you helping me?" she finally asked. "Because someone helped me once, when I needed it most, after my wife died. Stranger at a train station bought me coffee, didn't ask questions, just showed up when I was drowning. I'm paying it forward." Clara's eyes filled with tears. "I don't deserve kindness. I failed everyone who trusted me. Failure and deserving are different things. You're human. Humans deserve kindness, always." Over the next weeks, Clara returned daily, helped clean tables, wash dishes, learning to cook, finding purpose in simple work. Ethan taught her recipes, laughed, "I don't have much beyond good food and a daughter who smiles a lot." Lily adored Clara like an older sister. They baked together, drew pictures, shared stories. One evening, eating noodles under dim lights, Clara opened up. "I work for a woman. People call her the Ice Queen. I protected employees under my supervision, got fired for it." Ethan replied, "You chose right. Keeping humanity costs more than keeping position, but it's worth more too." Clara laughed. "You really are military. Every sentence sounds like an order." "Not orders, just reminders I tell myself, every day." But the next day, news spread, Isabel Voss, powerful CEO, just engaged to billionaire Matthew Harlan. Engagement party at the Ritz next week, biggest social event of the season. Clara froze seeing the announcement. Isabel was the woman who destroyed her career, and Matthew was the man she'd once been engaged to, before he'd betrayed her for Isabel's wealth and connections. Lily noticed her sadness. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, sweetheart. Just remembering people who didn't believe in me." Ethan looked at her carefully. "Believe again. This time, you're not alone." Clara smiled despite the pain. "Thank you for saying that. For meaning it." That night, Ethan found Clara crying quietly in the alley behind the cafe. "Want to talk about it? The woman who fired me, she's the one getting married. To the man I was supposed to marry. They deserve each other. Maybe. Or maybe they deserve the chance to realize what they lost. Either way, you deserve peace. Don't let their happiness steal yours." Simple words, profound impact. Clara stopped crying, started healing. The foundation was set, past betrayal, present kindness, future confrontation approaching. Clara Bennett, Once powerful, now stripped of everything, finding faith in a stranger's kindness. Days passed. Clara integrated into their small family, mornings helping Ethan prep food, afternoons teaching Lily math and art, evenings eating simple dinners under warm lights. "This is the happiest I've been in years," Clara admitted one night. "Why?" Lily asked innocently. "Because you don't care what job I have or what I own. You just care if I'm kind." "Dad says kind is the only thing that matters." Ethan smiled. Smart kid. Clara learned Ethan's story gradually. Military service, Iraq deployment, lost several unit members, came home broken. Wife couldn't handle his PTSD, left him with baby Lily, died in car accident before they could reconcile. "I blame myself," Ethan shared, "for not being better, for not fighting harder to save my marriage. But you saved yourself, and Lily. That's harder. Some days I'm not sure I succeeded. You did. Every day you wake up and choose her. That's success." They sat in comfortable silence, two broken people finding strength together. One afternoon, Lily asked Clara, "Do you have family?" "Not really. My parents died when I was young. Never married. Work was my family, until it wasn't." "You can be our family," Lily declared with child logic. Clara's eyes filled with tears. "I'd like that very much." But the past wouldn't stay buried. 1 week before the engagement party, Clara received an unexpected visit. Matthew Harlan appeared at the cafe, expensive suit, guilty expression. "Clara, we need to talk." "No, we don't. Please, 5 minutes." Ethan appeared from the kitchen, protective instinct activated. "Everything okay?" "Fine," Clara said quickly. Matthew was just leaving, but Matthew stayed. "I made mistakes, choosing Isabel over you, prioritizing money over love. I know that now. And I'm sorry. I know sorry isn't enough, but I needed to say it." Clara looked at him, saw genuine remorse, felt nothing, no anger, no longing, just peace. "I forgive you, not for you, for me, so I can move forward. Will you come to the party? I know Isabel sent invitations to all former staff. She probably didn't think you'd show, but maybe you should. Close this chapter properly." After he left, Ethan asked, "You going?" "I don't know. Part of me wants to. Prove I survived. Show them I'm okay. But another part is scared they'll hurt you again." "Yes," Lily tugged Clara's sleeve. "Go, Clara. Show them you're brave. Like in the princess stories. The princess always goes back to face the dragon." Clara laughed despite herself. "When did you get so wise?" "Dad says I got it from Mom, and now from you." The days before the party were tense. Clara practiced what she'd say, how she'd act, how she'd survive seeing Isabel and Matthew together. Ethan watched her prepare. "You don't have to go alone." "I can't ask you to." "You're not asking. I'm offering. Lily and I will take you. Stand outside if you need us. But you won't be alone." Clara cried. "Why are you so kind to me?" "Because someone was kind to me when I needed it. Because you deserve support. Because you're family now. Lily said so, and she's smarter than both of us." The night of the party arrived. Clara wore a simple dress, nothing extravagant but dignified. Ethan wore his only suit, old but clean. Lily wore her Sunday best. They took the bus to the Ritz. Clara's hands shook the entire ride. "You can change your mind," Ethan reminded her. "No, I need to do this. Need to see them. Need to prove to myself I'm okay." At the entrance, Clara froze. Security, cameras, wealth everywhere. Her old world, the world that had rejected her. "I can't." Ethan placed his hand on her shoulder. "Yes, you can. And when you walk in with me, with us. You're not alone anymore." Those words gave her strength. She nodded, took a breath, stepped forward. Security stopped her. "Name?" "Clara Bennett." He checked the list. "I don't see." "She's with me," Ethan said quietly, firmly. Authority in his voice that made security pause. "And you are?" "Someone who doesn't need to be on a list to support a friend." The guard looked uncertain, but something in Ethan's steady gaze made him step aside. They entered the grand ballroom. Chandeliers, champagne, London's elite. Everything Clara had once known and lost. Isabel stood at the center, radiant, powerful, arm linked with Matthew's, accepting congratulations, commanding the room. Then she saw Clara. Her face went through several expressions: shock, anger, something like fear. She approached, ice in her voice. "Who invited you?" "You did. Invitation to all former staff, remember? I didn't think you'd have the audacity to show. I came to close a chapter, not to cause problems." Isabel's eyes swept over Ethan and Lily. "And who are they? Your hired moral support?" Before Clara could respond, Ethan spoke, that same quiet firmness. "She's with me." 2 words, simple, profound. The entire room seemed to hold its breath. Isabel's mask cracked slightly. How noble. The charity case found a protector. "I'm not her protector," Ethan corrected. "I'm her friend. There's a difference. Protection implies weakness. Clara isn't weak. She's the strongest person I know." Matthew stepped forward. "Clara, I didn't mean for... It doesn't matter anymore. I forgive you both. Not because you deserve it, because I deserve peace." Clara turned to leave. But Ethan asked one question, directed at Isabel. "When did power become more important than humanity?" Isabel had no answer. For the first time in years, the Ice Queen had nothing to say. They left the party. Outside, Clara broke down crying. But this time, tears of release, of freedom, of healing. "Thank you," she whispered to Ethan, whispered too, for those 2 words, for standing with me, for showing me what real strength looks like. "Thank you for letting us, for trusting us, for being part of our family." Lily hugged them both. "Can we go home now? I want hot chocolate and princess stories." They went home, to their small apartment, their simple life, their chosen family, and somehow that was everything. The party continued inside, but Isabel couldn't focus. Clara's forgiveness, Ethan's quiet strength, the way they'd walked away with dignity. It haunted her. Matthew noticed. "You okay?" "No, I'm not okay. I destroyed that woman's career, her reputation, her life, and she forgave me. Isn't that good? It's devastating because I wouldn't have forgiven me, and she did, without hesitation." That night, Isabel couldn't sleep, kept replaying the evening. Clara's trembling entrance, Ethan's protective presence, those 2 words. "She's with me." When was the last time someone had stood with her like that, defended her without agenda, supported her without expectation of reward? She couldn't remember. Everyone in her life wanted something. Position, money, access, connection. No one just stood with her. The next morning, Isabel did something unprecedented. She went to Clara's cafe. Ethan was prepping vegetables. Clara was setting tables. Lily was doing homework in the corner. Domestic, simple, real. "I need to talk to you," Isabel said from the doorway. Clara looked up, surprised but not afraid. "Okay." They sat at a corner table. Isabel, billionaire CEO, sitting in a working-class cafe. First time in years. "I've been thinking about what you said, about forgiveness. And I don't understand it. You had every reason to hate me. I fired you unjustly, destroyed your career, enabled a toxic culture, yet you forgave me." "Yes." "Why?" Clara considered carefully. "Because holding on to anger was destroying me. Because forgiveness is for the forgiver, not the forgiven. Because Ethan taught me that strength isn't about pride, it's about letting go." Isabel's eyes filled with unexpected tears. "I've spent my life collecting power, building walls, crushing opposition, and I've never felt more empty." "Then stop. It's not that simple." "It is exactly that simple. You choose every day what kind of person to be. I chose forgiveness. You can choose differently too." Ethan brought tea. Set it down gently, didn't interrupt, just provided comfort. Then returned to his kitchen. Isabel watched him go. "He's remarkable, the way he protected you without aggression. Supported without demanding credit, that's rare. He's military. He knows strength isn't about domination. It's about showing up for others." Over the next week, something shifted. Isabel started attending Clara's cafe regularly. Not as CEO, just as person seeking connection. She watched Ethan cook, Clara serve, Lily laugh, family functioning without hierarchy or transaction, just people caring for people. I want to make amends, Isabel announced one day. Real amends, not just apology. How? Let me fund a foundation for workers wrongly terminated. Clara's initiative. You run it. Help others like yourself. Clara was stunned. Why? Because you showed me that power without humanity is worthless. And I want to remember that lesson every day. But Matthew wasn't happy. The engagement was failing. Isabel was changing, becoming softer, more thoughtful, less focused on wealth and status. What happened to you? He demanded during an argument. I met someone who reminded me who I used to be before power corrupted everything. Clara? That assistant? That woman who's stronger than I'll ever be because she chose forgiveness when she had every right to choose revenge. You're ending our engagement over some philosophical nonsense? I'm ending it because I don't love you. I never did. I loved what you represented, status, connection, power. But that's not enough anymore. She ended the engagement publicly, shocking London's elite, disappointing investors, damaging stock prices, but freeing herself. Finally, the board called emergency meeting, demanding explanations, threatening removal. You're making emotional decisions. I'm making human decisions, Isabel corrected. Something this company forgot how to do. You're throwing away everything for what? Some philosophical awakening? For integrity, for humanity, for being able to look in the mirror without disgust. She resigned as CEO, shocking everyone, especially Clara. Why would you do that? Because you taught me something. Taught me that success without soul is just expensive emptiness. I had everything and nothing. Now I want to build something that matters. But the real test came when media discovered the story. Billionaire CEO resigns after encounter with former assistant she wronged. Viral immediately. Reporters swarmed the cafe, asking questions, demanding interviews, invading privacy. Ethan protected his space fiercely. This is a place of business, not a news story. Please leave. But the public has a right. The public has no rights here. This is private property. Leave now. They left, respecting the quiet authority in his voice. That evening, Isabel, Clara, Ethan, and Lily sat together in the cafe after closing. I'm sorry, Isabel said. I've brought chaos to your peaceful life. Chaos isn't always bad, Ethan replied. Sometimes it's the storm before growth, Clara added. You made a choice, a brave one. Now we support each other through whatever comes next, Isabel cried. Real tears, not performative corporate emotion. I don't deserve your kindness. Deserving isn't the point, Ethan said. Showing up is, you showed up. You admitted mistakes. You're trying to change. That's enough. Is it? It is for us. The question is it enough for you? Isabel looked around the small cafe, at the mismatched chairs, the worn tables, the simple kitchen, the family that functioned on kindness instead of hierarchy. This is more valuable than everything I built. You know that? We know, Lily said seriously, because we have each other. That's the best thing. Out of mouths of children comes truth adults forget. The next day, Isabel announced the Clara Initiative, foundation supporting wrongfully terminated workers, funded entirely by her personal wealth. Clara as director, real salary, real authority, real purpose. You don't have to do this, Clara said. Yes, I do, not because I owe you, though I do, but because it's right. And for the first time in years, I'm choosing right over profitable. The foundation launched. Media coverage exploded, but this time positive. Former CEO creates foundation for worker justice. Isabel Voss's redemption story. But Isabel didn't do it for publicity. She did it because a single dad in an old suit had said, she's with me. And that simple act of solidarity had shattered every false belief she'd built her life upon. Sometimes transformation happens not through grand gestures, but through quiet moments. A hand on a shoulder, 2 words spoken firmly, standing with someone when the world expects you to walk away. Ethan had shown her what real power looked like, and it didn't involve money or status or fear. It involved showing up, speaking truth, standing firm, supporting others. That was strength. That was power. That was everything. The Clara Initiative flourished. Within 6 months, they'd helped 200 wrongfully terminated workers, provided legal support, job placement, counseling, everything Clara had needed when Isabel fired her. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Isabel funding the foundation, Clara running it, former power dynamic completely inverted. But they worked well together. Isabel brought resources and business expertise. Clara brought empathy and ground-level understanding. Together, they built something meaningful. Ethan's Cafe became unofficial headquarters, strategy meetings over coffee, planning sessions over pastries, family dinners that turned into brainstorming. Lily loved having everyone together. "It's like we have a big family now." "It is a big family," Ethan confirmed. "Chosen family, the best kind." One evening after successful foundation gala, Isabel lingered at the cafe. "Can I ask you something?" she said to Ethan. "Sure. Why did you do it at the party? You didn't know Clara well then. Didn't know her anything. Why stand with her?" Ethan cleaned glasses thoughtfully. "Because when I came home from war, broken and useless and scared, a stranger at a train station bought me coffee. Didn't ask questions, didn't judge, just showed up. That stranger saved my life. Not dramatically, quietly, by proving kindness still existed. I've been paying that forward ever since, standing with people who need someone, because I know what it's like to stand alone." Isabel understood completely. "I've stood alone my entire life, by choice. I thought it made me strong. Loneliness isn't strength, it's just lonely. I'm learning that. Slowly." Clara joined them, carrying Lily, who'd fallen asleep. "Time to go home, I think." "Home," Isabel repeated. "Strange word. I have a penthouse worth millions, but this cafe feels more like home than anywhere I've ever lived." "That's because home isn't a place," Ethan said. "It's people. It's people who see you, accept you, stand with you." "Can I?" Isabel hesitated. "Can I be part of this? Not as funder or board member, just as person, as friend." Clara and Ethan exchanged glances. Then Clara smiled. "You already are. You have been for months." "Welcome home," Isabel cried. Again. Seemed to be her default state now, so different from the Ice Queen persona. "Thank you for forgiving me, for accepting me, for showing me what really matters." The foundation kept growing, national attention, other corporations copying the model, worker protections improving, real change happening. But the real transformation happened in smaller moments. Isabel teaching Lily about business, patient, kind, nothing like the CEO who'd fired people without remorse. Clara gaining confidence, speaking publicly, advocating fearlessly, becoming the leader she'd always been. Ethan expanding the cafe, hiring workers from the foundation, creating community, building something bigger than himself. One Saturday they held Community Day, free food, job fair, legal clinic, music, families everywhere. Lily ran around with other kids. Clara coordinated volunteers. Isabel served food, actual manual labor, getting her designer clothes dirty. Ethan watched from the kitchen window, smiled. This was what life should look like. A reporter approached. "Mr. Cole, your cafe has become symbol of social change. How does that feel?" "It's just a cafe, just people helping people, nothing fancy about kindness." "But you started this. You stood with Clara when—" "I didn't start anything. I just said 2 words. Everything else was already inside her, inside Isabel. They just needed reminder that human connection matters." Those 2 words changed everything. 2 words don't change anything. Choosing to believe them does. Choosing to live them does. Choosing each other does. That evening, after everyone left, the 4 of them sat in the cafe. Tired, happy, complete. "I have an announcement," Isabel said. "I'm moving to this neighborhood, buying small flat, walking distance." "Really?" Clara asked. "Really? I don't need penthouse. I need people. I need this. I need family." "You're sure? It's very different from loneliness and empty luxury?" "Yes, I'm sure. I want what you have, not the cafe or the business, the connection, the belonging, the family." Lily, half asleep in Ethan's lap, mumbled, "Good. Now we're all together. Yes, Ethan agreed. Now we're all together. Clara looked at the family they'd built. From ashes of betrayal and firing and pain, from simple act of kindness in rainy cafe, from 2 words spoken firmly in hostile room. She's with me. Those words had changed everything. Not because they were magic, but because they were true, because they were backed by action, because they were offered without condition. Ethan had stood with Clara when she had nothing. Clara had forgiven Isabel when she had every right to hate. Isabel had chosen humanity over power when everything said don't. And together they'd built something beautiful, not perfect, not easy, but real, authentic, honest, human. The cafe lights dimmed, London night settling around them. But inside, warmth, laughter, love. 4 people who'd found each other through pain, who'd chosen each other through healing, who'd built family through courage. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new people needing help, new opportunities to stand with someone. But tonight, they were simply together, simply family, simply home. And that was everything worth having. 1 year after the engagement party confrontation, the Clara Initiative held its annual gala, not at the Ritz, at Ethan's now expanded cafe-turned-community center. No champagne, no designer gowns, just families celebrating together, workers who'd been helped, volunteers who'd shown up, community that had formed around kindness. Isabel stood at makeshift podium, no longer polished CEO, just person who'd learned important lesson. 1 year ago, I was getting engaged to wrong person for wrong reasons, building empire without soul, living life without humanity. Then a woman I'd wronged walked into my party, and a man I didn't know said 2 words, "She's with me." Those words destroyed everything I'd built and saved everything I'd lost. Applause filled the space, but Isabel focused on the 3 people who mattered most. Clara, Ethan, Lily, her chosen family, her real wealth. After the speech, they gathered in cafe kitchen, tradition now, post-event decompression. "You did good," Clara said. "We did good," Isabel corrected. "All of us, together." Lily tugged Ethan's sleeve. "Dad, can we tell them now?" "Tell us what?" Clara asked. Ethan and Lily exchanged glances. Then Lily burst out. "Dad's going to ask you to marry him, but I wasn't supposed to say yet." Silence, then everyone laughing. Clara looked at Ethan. "Is this true?" "Well, the surprise is ruined, but yes." He pulled out simple ring. "I was going to wait for perfect moment, but Lily's right. No time like present. Clara Bennett, will you marry a single dad who cooks in small cafe and has daughter who can't keep secrets?" Clara cried happy tears. "Yes, absolutely yes." They kissed while Lily cheered and Isabel applauded. "What about me?" Isabel asked jokingly. "Do I get to stay in the family?" "You're not going anywhere," Clara assured her. "You're stuck with us now." "Good. Because I've never felt more at home than I do here, with all of you." 3 months later, small wedding ceremony. In the cafe, naturally, just family and close friends, nothing fancy, everything perfect. Isabel gave toast. "I once thought power meant control, money, status, being feared and respected. Then I met people who taught me real power is showing up, speaking truth, standing with someone when everyone else walks away." Ethan showed me that with 2 words. Clara showed me with forgiveness. Lily showed me with acceptance. This family doesn't share blood, but they share something more important, choice. They choose each other every single day, through hard times and easy, through judgment and celebration. That's family, that's love, that's power. She raised her glass. To Ethan and Clara, to Lily, to chosen family, to standing with each other, always. She's with me, he's with me, we're with each other, forever. Everyone cheered, celebrated, danced, ate Ethan's famous food, shared stories, built memories. As evening settled, Ethan and Clara stood outside, watching London lights, holding hands, planning future. "Remember that rainy morning?" Clara asked. "When you gave me tea and bread?" "I remember. You saved my life that day, not just physically, spiritually, emotionally. You reminded me humans can be kind without agenda. You saved mine too. Showed me that opening heart again was possible. That family could grow. That love doesn't end when life gets hard. They kissed softly while London buzzed around them. Inside, Lily and Isabel were teaching other kids some game. Laughter filling the space. Joy multiplying. This was success, not corner offices or stock portfolios, not designer clothes or exclusive parties, but people, connection, standing with each other, choosing family, building community, creating space where everyone belonged. From 2 words spoken in hostel room to weddings celebrated in community cafe, from betrayal and firing to forgiveness and foundation, from loneliness to family. She's with me. The words that changed everything. Not because they were special, but because they were true, because they were offered without condition, because they were backed by action. Ethan had stood with Clara. Clara had stood with Isabel. Isabel had stood with them both. And together, they built something beautiful. Not perfect, not always easy, but real, honest, human. They'd found home in each other, and that was everything. Real power isn't about money or status. It's about standing with someone when everyone else walks away. 2 words, she's with me. If this story touched you, subscribe to HA Stories and share when someone stood with you in your darkest moment.